Hello there, it's time for another installment of Mr. Drew Paints With You. Thank you for joining me. Today I'll be painting a master copy of a mouth from Bouguereau's portrait of Gabrielle Cot. I have the same colors I did for the last master copy of Sargent's Eye. The only addition here is raw umber. That's helpful for getting those deep dark values. I still have some of the pre-mixed colors that'll help me save time. We're getting ready to celebrate Veterans Day here in the United States, and I just would like to thank you so much for everybody who has served or is serving in the armed forces. God bless you. Really appreciate your sacrifice. So thank you for that. Here we're starting with the drawing process, and I'm going to be adding a new feature where I slow down some of the segments that I think are going to be important and hopefully educational. I love time-lapse videos, I'm sure you do as well, but they don't really always show all the work involved in a certain segment of a painting. So this video is a little bit longer than last one, but hopefully you like that. And let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions. And thank you all for the suggestions you have been making. Those things have been very helpful. I would like to send a shout out to my buddies Andy and Adam who helped me figure out my camera settings. So now thankfully I don't have that rolling light up in the videos. So that should be a little bit easier on the eyes and not quite as distracting. With drawing, as with any other stage, make every brushstroke count. I love the flexibility of oil paint where you see me wiping things out, and I can keep correcting the whole time I'm painting. But try to make every stroke count and make it as accurate as you can. In the next couple months I plan on doing maybe some watercolor demos. I love watercolor as well, but it's not quite as forgiving. You kind of have to put things down the way you want them the first time. Bouguereau was a French artist who lived from 1825 to 1905, and just an amazing artist. Some of the most beautiful paintings I've ever seen were from Bouguereau. There was a traveling exhibit of his. I'm not sure if it's still going around. I missed it, but I have been able to see a few of his paintings in life, and they are gorgeous. So if you ever get to see any of his work in a museum, really soak it in, take some time to study it. So here we're doing that all-important step of blocking in the darks. It just helps so much, especially with oil painting, to find those deep dark values so that you can work your way up to the lighter values and the midtones. I thought it would be good to show you here some of the slowed down footage of blocking in the different colors in the mouth. It's not quite real time, it's double time, but it's still a lot slower than the rest of the video. So hopefully that helps to see the steps taken, the colors mixed, and how I'm applying that with the brush. Doing master copies from photographs is still, there's a lot you can learn from that. Artists used to be able to go to museums and set up their easel and do master copies right from the original paintings. I was able to do that one time up in West Bend, Wisconsin. There was a friend of mine who knew some of the people who worked at the museum, and they were able to get me in there, put a tarp down on the ground, and I set my easel up, and I was able to do a master copy of a Carl von Marr painting. Who's a wonderful German artist. I think there are still some areas and some museums where you can do that. I know the Art Institute of Chicago allows you to do that, but you have to be enrolled in their painting classes. I think that's kind of a requirement for a lot of museums now, is that you be enrolled in a certain class. But it never hurts to ask, so if you have a good museum near you, then maybe check that out, see if they'll let you come in, set up your easel. You can always bring in your sketchbook and draw from paintings and sculptures and drawings that you'll see in the museum. But there's something nice about getting to paint from those actual paintings hanging in the museum. You can see the exact colors. I think we're fortunate to have some very good photography nowadays, and makes it a lot easier to see what's happening and to get the authentic colors of the paintings. But still, looking at a painting in real life, there's nothing quite like it. I've admired Rembrandt paintings for years. He's one of my favorite painters from the past. I always thought of his paintings as just overwhelmingly brown, though, and I was able to see some of his paintings, I think it was at the Art Institute of Chicago as well, and getting to see some of his portraits in real life firsthand. He had some really beautiful colors, and it shocked me because I never would have seen those in the photographs that we see in books. So there's definitely a benefit to going to museums and seeing work firsthand. Here I'm doing some softening around the mouth, and softening the edges is a big part of modeling the form. Once things are blocked in, softening edges is where the form really starts to show up. There are a few sharp edges in this section of the painting I'm copying, but most of them are soft or lost, and that goes back to a lot of Bouguereau's control with softening those edges. Also his colors, if you look at the cheek there's virtually no value shift. It's just these color and temperature shifts. You can see on the top part of the cheek it's more of a pink, and then transitions to a cooler gray, and then a little bit of that yellowish skin tone. I think that's what makes some of his work so beautiful. Well, all of his work is beautiful, but I think that's one of the main aspects, is just those beautiful soft colors and edges. Here I'm reestablishing that dark accent underneath the upper lip. With those, usually you want to keep those warmer, a little more red in those. That helps those accents look deeper, like they're actually going in to the face. If you keep those very cold, like just a straight black or a bluish color, they tend to look like they're popping out rather than receding into the face. The mouth gives people a lot of trouble, especially if the mouth is open. This one is a little bit open. You can see just a faint glimpse of the teeth in there on the bottom, right above the lower lip. But why is the mouth so hard to paint or draw? It's just shapes, just values, just edges and colors. I think one of the reasons is because of how soft the shapes are there. You're getting a little bonus footage here of the nose. I do plan on doing a full video on the nose, but I thought it was nice to include some of that here as I painted the mouth. But things like the nose, even though there are soft cartilages there, it seems like it's a little bit easier to tell what's happening with the shapes. They're more defined. And so I think that's one of the things that makes working on the mouth so difficult. It's just like a couple of squirmy night crawlers on your face, and trying to capture those and make them look solid, that takes some real careful attention. There's a little bit of anatomy to the mouth there. You can see on the upper lip there's basically three sections of fat. There's one on the left, one on the right, and then one in the center, and then on the lower lip there's two sections of fat. You can see where that crease is, and that's one of the reasons I picked this painting to work from, because the mouth was a little bit open, and because Bouguereau did a great job showing that anatomy of the mouth. I was looking at some of the other Sargent paintings for maybe copying one of the mouths that he had done, and they were beautiful, but I wanted something with a little bit more, just a little bit more definition. Speaking of Sargent, he used to say that a portrait is a likeness with a little something wrong with the mouth. And I think you could take that one of two ways. Either that the mouth is difficult to paint, which certainly it can be, or maybe just that sometimes clients can be a little bit fickle and they'll like a portrait, but they may say, there's just a little something wrong here or there, and that's fine, that's their prerogative. So I'm well past the blocking stage here, and a lot of the painting process is just refining things. So here I wanted to slow it down so you could see how I reestablish those values in the bottom plane of the nose. I'm not sure who said it, but I know I've heard that oil painting is kind of a process of building up and tearing down. So we start with our drawing, we start blocking in the darks, the midtones, the lights, and so that's all building up, and then as we start softening we kind of tear down some of that, and you may lose some of the values you put in, and so then you have to go back and re-establish that. Some artists like Richard Schmidt, he paints things as directly as possible, and he tries to make every brushstroke perfect from the beginning, and that saves him time from having to go back and rework things or correct things. But I kind of enjoy the process of building up and refining different areas here. Some of the areas I had to go over quite a few times. I can't tell you how many times I had to try to paint the corners of the mouth there. And those are some of my favorite areas, is the corners of the mouth. They really help attach the mouth to the face, but there's some real careful edge work you have to put in there to make it look like it's really tucking into the cheeks. There's a good article on the Art Renewal Center website that describes Bouguereau's working method. I'll leave a link in the description here, so if you want to go and do some more research on how he painted, that would be a good place for you to look at. You may see that wood stick appear here every once in a while. That's just to steady my hand. The paint is all wet at this point, and so if I try to steady my hand by maybe resting my pinky right on the canvas, then I'll be smearing paint. So you can use a stick, or many times I'll use a cane to hook over the top of my canvas and then rest my hand on that so it's steady, and I don't have to risk damaging any of the paint or smearing it by putting my hand right on the canvas. It can be kind of risky putting that shadow underneath the nose on a pretty girl's face. I can tend to maybe look like a Charlie Chaplin mustache or something like that, so really have to be careful with the values and edges there. I love those beautiful soft pinks that Bouguereau used in his skin tones, but without all those other gray tones and the shadows building up to that, they're not going to look quite as beautiful. Here everybody likes to see a highlight, so I thought I would slow that down for you. Those really are kind of the cherry on top, or the icing on the cake. But once again, if you just have everything very bright, then that highlight's not going to stand out. So you need to do the work and build up your shadows and midtones and build up to that light so that it has kind of a background to stand out against. And then the final peel. That's always gratifying to see the tape come off and have a pretty clean edge around there. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time, and keep those suggestions coming, and hope you have a great day. Thank you.